Sarah, what's up? Weekend
Hi,
review.
everyone. Hi, everyone. This is a weekly roundup. May.
Yeah, we are in May. We are in May, and I told everybody that last week we're gonna do what you do with your head scarf. So I got my head scarf for this episode, and here we go.
Yes. Now you look like a completely different race, but yeah, sure.
Wow, wow. Are you playing stereotypes here?
I'm just going factual. I'm just
Factual.
pointing out who is going racist here.
Me, I did not say anything about racist, by the way. Did I? Or did I? I don't even know what I said. I don't know what the hell I say half the time. Anyway, so this is crypto news weekend review.
Yes.
We're gonna start from last Friday, and we're gonna go all the way till Thursday, May 2nd. So that's the April 26th to May 2nd, and we've had quite a bit of interesting news over the past week that I think that we might have some good discussion over.
Right.
And let's start with the 26th. You start.
Yes, it's the Friday,
Oh, you were
last
off.
Friday. What?
You were off.
What do you mean off?
You weren't there Friday.
No, I wasn't. But
Oh, so
I chose the
but
news anyways.
I don't even see it in there. It's not in there. Anyway, you go ahead.
Oh.
What's your news?
Oh, you're right. I was out of office. I was looking
Yeah,
at the
that's
Monday
what I'm
news.
trying to say, Sarah. You weren't there. You didn't choose a news.
Oh,
So
oh,
I'm gonna have
oh.
to start, okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. All right. So consensus. They sued the SEC over the attempts to regulate Ethereum as a security. So here's the thing, and this has been a conversation over the past week. Is that let me take this stupid thing off. The joke is
Yes.
over. So here's the thing. Gary Gensler has long said or long implied that Ethereum was not a security.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was teaching back at MIT back in 2014, he had classes and lectures and saying, like, look, Ethereum is a decentralized thing. It's not a security. It doesn't check the Howey test. And so he said that it wasn't security because it's sufficiently decentralized. Now, the issue is that Ethereum has changed from proof of work to proof of stake, meaning that it is changed consensus mechanisms. So it's not using people using mining computers and GPUs or whatever in their having mining rigs to process the network, process transactions, and make consensus.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's staking your Ethereum, and that has made things a lot more centralized. Not only there are big hodlers of Ethereum, meaning people like developers of Ethereum, Joe Lubin, Vitalik, and so on and so forth, but you have custodial companies that are staking Ethereum for people. So you have this very big consolidated bunch of Ethereum being staked, say, for example, on Coinbase. Now, Coinbase is very centralized, and now they hold a lot of Ethereum, which is now the consensus mechanism for the Ethereum network. And
Right.
so now the tone has changed in the past, say, year or so, where inside the SEC, they're calling it a security, and they're implying that it might be a security. And so the consensus has sued the SEC, saying, like, look, guys, you have never called it a security before. Gary, you've been in class at MIT saying it's not a security, it is decentralized. You were in front of Congress, the Financial Service Committee of
Mm-hmm.
the House of Representatives. You wouldn't admit it's a security or a commodity. And now all of a sudden, there's documents coming out that saying that you're saying it's security. And so we're trying to get a spot ETF, Ethereum ETF, and you're trying to move the goalposts on us. It's not fair. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's this whole conversation about what Ethereum is. And let me be clear. In my opinion, really quick, before we get too deep in the woods here, it's bullshit. They got to be clear about these things.
Yeah.
Ethereum is far too big of a market cap to have been running around and out there for years already. I don't know how long has Ethereum been around. Has it been 10 years, 11 years?
Yeah.
Long story
Yeah.
short, 12 years. And it's a $300 billion market cap. And now you're just going to play with how it's looked at by the United States and how people are invested in it and how it's going to be on exchanges and if it's going to be get an ETF. I think it's complete craziness, honestly. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's irresponsible in many different levels. What is your thoughts?
I want to actually go go a little bit fundamental on this. When we talk about a lot of different cryptocurrencies being securities or not, I also wanted to see if the crypto people are completely honest about the situation. I mean, Ethereum, Bitcoin, I totally agree, it can't ever really be securities the way that it works right now. But other cryptocurrencies can be seen as securities, essentially because of the different types of coin offerings that we have gone through, and it is kind of used as uh shares or stakes to a certain project, essentially a company, even though they're not listed in a as a public company. But the token and the cryptocurrencies, like in general in different projects, are used for fundraising and essentially will give some sort of voting or decision power. So so that being said, maybe we should even that like kind of divide the discussion about cryptocurrency being securities or not, kind of in a different way, like Bitcoin and Ethereum and maybe other layer ones, maybe can't really ever be securities, because you have to see it like in order for an asset to be securities, it has to be like function as a kind of a stock, right? If I'm wrong, then you will correct me, I hope. But it doesn't work that way. Bitcoin doesn't work that way. Ethereum doesn't work that way. Nobody really has a say towards a company or this foundation just because they're holding this token. And it's not even used for that either. So it's such an easy statement that you can make, that it's just not a security. So obviously, if the SEC is going for charging Ethereum Foundation for dealing securities without their approval or whatever, like in that matter, then it will be a bullshit for sure. But other cryptocurrencies, it's worth for debating.
So I will when I agree with you. First of all, it changes the fundamentals of Ethereum, and then if Coinbase can have Ethereum on their platform, or Kraken, or Gemini,
Right.
and so how people are invested in it. And then, okay, so Ethereum in the United States, if it's a security, is going to have a different license and classification, and then
Mm,
maybe they'll trade on Robinhood, but
right.
it's like then you're basically saying everybody who's holding Ethereum in the United States might be shit out of luck when it comes to liquidity.
Yeah.
And here's my issue with this. Look, I do get that, and you're right. The crypto space has to be honest with themselves. The
Mm,
consensus mechanism of Ethereum has changed,
yeah.
right? And so now you have private companies that might be working in their own benefit with a head of a company to increase their profits. That
Mm,
could be a new conversation and debate, part of a Howey test, right? And so you're right. Well, let's be honest about it. And then there's 2 million cryptocurrencies out there, cryptocurrencies. And honestly,
right.
99% of them are shit, and fine, they can all be securities. I don't care.
Yeah.
Here's my beef. Looking at CoinMarketCap today on May 2nd at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight
Yes.
Savings Time, Ethereum is at a $358 billion market cap. Now, looking at the largest American companies, that would place it around between Procter & Gamble at number 17 and Johnson & Johnson at number 18. Ahead of Home Depot, ahead of Costco, ahead of Oracle, ahead of Chevron, ahead of Bank of
Wow.
America. And so you're going to tell me that the United States is going to allow Ethereum to be the 17th biggest, and this is an American company. Obviously, this is global, but the 17th biggest market cap in the United States. If it's a company, if we're looking at
Right.
companies, if we're looking at commodities, we can talk about that as well. But like that big, and then all of a sudden start trying to change the classification while there's billions of dollars of people's money at stake here. I
Right.
think it's absolutely
Yeah.
irresponsible, and it's fucking absurd. It's just absurd at this point. You should have looked at this when it came out and said, "Hey, well, let's figure out what's going on with this crypto." Not after you get trillions of dollars of market cap and value, and like it's fucking
Yeah.
absurd.
I would say it's more like they're really lazy. When let's just say, okay, when the DAO came out, the concept of DAO was just not fit into any of the category of entities, right? Like it was not profit making company, it was not charity foundation. So they had to make, like, certain states in the United States, if I'm not wrong, uh adopted that that concept and that term and then put it into a kind of a new category of entity so that they can function inside the system. They would create, I guess, new category for taxation system or whatever it is, right? I think the SEC or other um, financial asset related authorities have to really study about what this is about and how can we categorize this, how can we define this. If there is no existing category that fit into this asset class, then make one. Why don't anyone think about new asset categories should be made? Why not? I can only say that that's because they're just too lame.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. This is an ongoing conversation. I think they're just too lazy. I think there's a regulatory capture. I think that I just can't stand that political issues outweigh just common sense of trying to make the best thing and the best process, the best regulations going forward. Anyway, we could talk about this all day. Let's move on to the next topic. But
On
that's what happened on Thursday. Friday.
Yes.
So we're going to Monday. What's your story on Monday?
I know you have a AI story. I'll give it to you just a minute. But on Monday, I have Bika enforcement, how it's going to be, how the crypto taxation and licensing rules in EU. And I just wanted to point out, I mean, the details, I think it's in the show note and then all the articles dealing about this. I don't think it matters so much. I think the highlight here is that EU is trying to move together to enforce this in all different countries. But that being said, I think one thing that we have to also remember is that this MiCA rule and honestly, like all EU laws doesn't really apply word by word. So no matter even if this law is enforced in each country, it will only be framework that can be a guideline, and each country will be slightly different on how they're going to implement this. But I wanted to highlight this because I'm in Europe and then I do think about crypto taxation and when I'm going to be bombarded by crypto tax. But yes. So I wanted to highlight that part. What about you?
And so,
yes.
So wait, so let me talk about you being in the EU here for a little second. How do you think that this is going to be affecting you over in Hungary?
I guess some I mean we have already seen some exchanges just close down in UK when UK said that okay, all crypto exchanges has to have license now, and then I think OKX and Bybit, I think they got they updated their requirements and then got the license, so they are operational, and Binance just kind of pulled out and then didn't really push through, I think. So that kind of thing can happen. I'm using Binance and I'm using different exchanges. Some of the exchanges could just not operational. So that is a bummer. Another thing that could impact me would be maybe OTC service. Like if I want to cash out some cryptocurrency, like which third party provider I can use. Like maybe fees will be different, and of course tax. Yeah.
Well, again, with the MiCA law that's rolling out in the EU, all the EU is going to have to do it together. So what you said is pretty spot on from what I'm reading, is that exchanges in, say, Hungary are closing down, and there's going to be more law enforcement in other places across the EU that might not have had law enforcement before, because the EU, as much as it is a unified bloc, there is highly different economic situations and highly different enforcement or ways of looking at enforcement within the actual countries of the EU.
Right.
If we're talking about the difference between France and Germany and Spain and Hungary, and and it's very drastic. So
exactly.
Now that they're trying to unify everything, it's going to be very it's going to be unified, but it's also going to be very jarring for some people.
I mean, also the taxation system and banking system, they're all rather different in each country. Some countries have the government and bank shares all the financial record together. So tax and your income and any sort of commercial usage of the banking transactions will be all automatically shared to government. So there is nothing that you can really hide. It will be connected to your ID, everything. But some countries would not really be like that. Like, for example, in Hungary, I don't know if they know I'm getting income somewhere outside of Hungary. I don't think they will like come up to me and knock on the door. It's like, oh, you have to pay a certain amount of tax. It's up to me to report. It will be also different if you are a local citizen, but something like that would happen in certain countries, and something and some other country won't. So
Well, unless they listen to this podcast, now you just doxed yourself, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, Sarah does listen to Daily Crypto News. We're big fans. Are you paying your taxes?"
I mean, totally. I mean, I have nothing to hide, but it's the interesting thing about this EU is that all countries are trying to unify the way the country works, but when it comes to tax and license and all these things can be quite different. So it will be interesting to see this movement from Mika.
All right, so moving over into
Your news.
my news for Monday or whatever it was Monday, right? Yeah.
Funny news.
AI priest. So AI is everywhere. Everybody's trying to do something with AI, and now the Catholic Church or a Catholic group over in San Diego was like, "Hey, maybe we can get an AI priest to help people out." And the AI priest is going to do confessions and is telling people how to, live within, the parameters of the Catholic Church.
Oh,
and the AI obviously is not doing well.
No.
This is Father Justin. Father Justin told people that they could marry their sister and their brother, have incest, get baptized by Gatorade, and their confessions. A lot of these confessions, it looks like, are just out there.
Right. Out there? What do you mean?
So people can find, like you would have confessions with this AI, and then it would be almost like public, where people can find your confession.
Oops.
Long story short is that Father Justin is not Father Justin anymore. He's been defrocked, and he is just called Justin.
Aww.
Poor AI. I know, it's sad. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But so this is here's my thing. I liked it because it's ridiculous. I like the fact that they're trying to figure out ways to use AI but it is ridiculous. It's so interesting that AI has taken the world by storm, that the Pope is going to be speaking at the G7 summit on artificial intelligence and its roles within the world. Because the Pope, says things for some reason that the Pope thinks. Sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Catholic, fine. I get if you're Catholic and you're listening to this, please email me, matt@dailycryptonews.net, and tell me if you think the Pope should weigh in on AI and tell you how the church should feel about that. Anyway, I ridiculous. But anyway,
it was an interesting news.
That's my news.
Yes.
Yeah, it was super interesting. Tuesday. Let's move to Tuesday. What do you have for Tuesday?
We have the same news, I believe, about Hong Kong approving finally Bitcoin spot ETF.
Right. And it happened in the exact thing that we spoke about actually happened in Hong Kong.
Yep. What is that?
Nothing happened.
Yes.
So Hong Kong had a spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF.
It's so brutal.
Spot Bitcoin and Ethereum.
It's so brutal. I mean, it's just sad.
It isn't, though, because we all know how it works, right? The United States is the hub of the finances, if you like it or not. Yeah. So if you're in China, there's a big stock market and a lot of money is traded, and there's but they're Chinese companies. I mean, if you're talking about something like internationally, Bitcoin, blah blah blah, and you really want that market to move, you're waiting for the BlackRocks, you're waiting for the S&P 500s, the retirement plans, the 401ks, and stuff like that. The trillions of dollars that's in the United States system. I mean, obviously Europe and different places also have lots of money, but you're waiting for the United States to move, right?
I mean,
That's just the facts.
thank you,
What?
Patriot Matthew Deemer. But I think it's more to do with like people really do not care about Hong Kong anymore. I mean it's Monday and it's more about like, okay, it was on in the market, it's going live, but now if you
But only $11 million went into it.
yeah
11 million.
it's
Like, if you've been to Hong Kong, right?
it's such a sad number.
You've been to Hong Kong, right?
I have not been to Hong Kong, just passed by.
Oh, well, like $11 million is like literally somebody's apartment. Like, there's $11 million. Just you can trip over $11 million in
It
Hong
was
Kong.
so sad. I mean, it's that day on Monday and even Tuesday, there were more news about, okay, like, oh yeah, they're trying to lower the fee and get the money in. But now on today's May 2nd, Thursday, the news is just so bloody and so brutal. It's just a like pure disappointment. And then like mixing, there are a lot of articles about this, the failure of Hong Kong spot ETF, and the market crash. And it's just, I feel so sad. And then
Okay.
it makes me think about, okay, if maybe like Singapore, for example, or Japan, or like whoever else in Asian country that we can kind of like bet against Hong Kong, if one of the other Asian countries launched swap Bitcoin ETF, would it have made any difference in this same condition?
No.
Yeah, I think at least 11 million is just too low. No,
I would say maybe South Korea, because you guys love to be degens and
I don't know.
gamble into the different things.
I don't know. ETF. Not sure.
So okay, so here I want to be very objective with this. One, you're 100% right. The market has not been good, so to launch a spot ETF in this market isn't going to garner a lot of hype. But $11 million, like I said, in Hong Kong, that's nothing, right? There is money in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
It's like Tokyo. It's like Seoul. There's more than $1 million to go around in Seoul, right? So like the fact that only $11 million aped into it means, in my opinion, two things.
You can't even say
number
ape
one.
then.
Yeah, it's not even an ape. It's like a chimpanzee. They chimped in or something. I don't know.
But yeah.
But two things. The number one is they still didn't get the blessing of the mainland, and so the money is there. The money is looking at it, but the people who actually, I would love to see the demographics of who actually bought the ETFs there, and if they're foreigners or foreign companies or Laowai or those different kind of people, or if they're like maybe Hong Kongers, but with like foreign passports or travel a lot,
could be,
but they're not actually the Hong Kongese. I don't know, is it Hong Konger or Hong Kongese?
Hong Kong people.
Okay, the Hong Kong people, or they just don't have the blessing of Beijing yet.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case.
Totally.
But the second thing is we do have to say that it probably won't have that much weight to it unless we are in a big bull and like there's some big changes, because look, we just learned that Australia has a spot ETF and they're launching another one. The SIBO already had one since 2022. Didn't do anything. Fine, their biggest exchange now is going to get an ETF maybe. What is it going to do? Let's see. Canada has had an ETF. Now it's Canada. Obviously, there's only tens of millions of people in Canada, but still, it's a Western big country. It just shows that, in my opinion, that if the United States is not taking the lead on these kind of new financial products and financial services and tools, then nobody is really going to care, right? And I don't know why it is, and maybe it's because America is, no, I don't know. Never mind. I don't know. I was going to say a weird comment, but I don't know.
I actually dealt with this news also in Daily Crypto News Korea, and I said something like, this is this is really showing the the weakness of China mainland. I think they really wanted to try everything they could to leverage on Hong Kong economy, which failed. Um, because you know China, they are really good at attracting foreign funds, but they will be very strict on getting the money out of China.
Right.
So I
No,
think
that's a good point.
that's why they were really like, I don't know what's going on right now, but the mainland investors are having, it just says in the article that mainland investors are having trouble investing into this Hong Kong spot ETF, what probably basically means that you can't, right? Which means that if the mainland Chinese would invest, that means like that renminbi will go out, RMB will go out. So they would hold
Good point.
that, and then they want the foreign investors to come in, and then it will flow back to mainland, right? But that, I think that must have been part of their plan, but it's just kind of failed. But also I cannot 100% say this, but still the launching timing was really wrong, because I mean, we have been brewing about this, like, oh, Hong Kong ETF is coming out, and oh, like China is gonna do first, or America is gonna do first. Like even Hong Kong was discussing approving spot ETF, even when US was talking about this too in the beginning of this year, remember? But they just drag, and then now it's like we already went through this hype and euphoria of bull market already, and then there is a market correction coming. So what is this timing? It's just so it's dumb. It's dumb that they launched now. We already saw the Bitcoin price going down for weeks now, right? Maybe not weeks, but at
Yeah.
least a week.
Yeah. I 100% agree that it was I 100% agree with you about the China and getting money out. I didn't think about that,
Right.
but it's not only Beijing blessing, but you're not getting money out.
No,
You know,
no,
they want to keep money in there,
exactly.
and it's very, and that's why there's so many different ways to try, so many different I guess creative methods that the Chinese use to get their money out. That they're just not sending money out, and if you're a foreigner in China, you're not getting your money out. And
No.
maybe I might roll it back that I wonder who was chimping into this spot ETF, and maybe it wasn't internationals or like foreign-born Hong Kong
Yeah.
people. It was maybe just local retail investors because again, but getting money out of Hong Kong as a foreigner is very easy though.
Yeah,
So
Hong
maybe
Kong.
it was
Yeah,
them. That was it.
Hong Kong would
Yeah.
be easy. But the funny thing is that it was these ETFs were possible were available with US dollar and Hong Kong dollar and also RMB. So would be interesting to see which currency they mostly used, or something like that.
Well, all right, we'll see. I think it was we'll see how everything goes, but I'm really curious to
Yeah.
see. I'm really curious to see how this goes because obviously we're in a little bit of a slump by now. But I've been predicting that, and anybody who thinks that it's not going to come out is crazy. Let's move on to
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right.
I think we couldn't
CZ.
agree. Yeah, we couldn't agree more on
It's
this.
the same. We have the same. CZ is sentenced to 4 months for breaking U.S. law for not basically. Let's go into some backstory.
Yes.
This is pretty easy. So CZ obviously is the founder and was former CEO of Binance. Binance is a massive exchange, the biggest exchange. We're talking about 14. Is it $14 trillion? I can't even find my notes, but I think it's something like $14 trillion a year in trading volume.
Yeah.
Absolutely humongous. Yeah. And I actually think it was bigger. I'm trying to figure out where is this news that I have. Where are my show notes? I want to say it was $18 trillion. I'm going to go with $18 trillion of volume from Binance.
Yeah. Without a doubt, number one.
Without a doubt.
Yes.
Without a doubt. CZ, I remember when CZ became a billionaire in crypto, and now his estimated wealth is around $37 billion. Wow. I mean, I interviewed CZ about 6 months after he opened up Binance.
You should dig that up.
I did his. Oh, I have it somewhere. I absolutely have it somewhere. But and then we had this, and he was I think he just became a billionaire, and it was just like 37. Long story short is he was focused on growth, and he was making sure that his growth was the number one thing for the company, for the exchange. And so he really kind of like skirted all the rules and skirted all the laws, and those laws were like KYC, AML, anti money laundering, making sure that the money wasn't just flowing through there as a way to launder money or traffic different things. And so he basically ignored some of the rules in the United States. And the United States was like, yo, you've been operating an exchange here.
Right,
This
right.
was before they banned Binance.com. They still had Binance.us here. So Binance.com isn't here anymore. They said all United States users, they had to get, they can't use it anymore. And then they banned Binance.com. Binance then was found to have set up a VIP service for the whales of the United States to figure out ways for them to bypass the sanctions on Binance.com and get the American whales to still use
Yeah.
Binance. Basically, they didn't care. He wanted the trading volume and the whales to have a place to
Trade.
trade crypto. Anyway, long story short, after all said and done, the DOJ came down. They got him, and Binance had to pay $4 billion in fines. He had to pay something like $50 million in fines himself, and he then served and pled guilty. People were asking, the prosecution was asking for 3 years in jail. The recommendation was actually around 18 months, but he actually only got 4 months in jail for this. So in 4 months from now,
Wow.
I don't know when that's going to be. What is that? The end of August, he'll be out and still be a 37 billionaire.
Conveniently.
Which is, in my opinion,
yes.
which is absolutely, which is fine, sure. My opinion is Binance had a lot to. Here's my conspiracy theory. You ready?
Okay, let's go. Let's hear it.
Before I go on my conspiracy theory, would you have anything to add to this?
No, I'll add later. Yes, but go ahead. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So here's my conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory is that BlackRock needed to get clear the field so they can get a Bitcoin ETF.
Yes.
And BlackRock is not BlackRock's the biggest player in town. They are the biggest player in town. You're not messing with BlackRock. And so if they want something, they're absolutely gonna fucking get
Yes.
it, right? And so they went to Binance, they went to CZ, they went to FTX, they went to all these people, and they figured out that, hey, we have to clear this field. Binance wanted to play ball. They took out FTX, got Sam, and I think arrested, took care of all of that. Done.
RIP.
Because remember, they're using Coinbase as their custodial service. Yep. And so Binance was still around. They said, look, we have to figure out how to take care of Binance. We have to put some kind of sanctions on them. We have to make this seem more legitimate and secure. And we have to start, tying off some of these loose ends with crypto, or else we're not going to get this Ethereum. I'm sorry, this Bitcoin ETF. And so they went to CZ and said, hey, play ball. And CZ was like, okay, we're going to play ball. And CZ sold out, or not sold out, but he got FTX out of it. He started moving out of different territories that, had good relations with the United States financially and economically. He took the fall for Binance, where they're trying to tie up these loose ends to make more a legitimate company, which allowed them to negotiate with the SEC, that's BlackRock, allowed BlackRock and Coinbase to negotiate with the SEC to launch a Bitcoin ETF. I think that's why we're here, and that's why CZ only got 4 months. He knew that $50 million to CZ is a drop in the bucket. CZ probably has bar bills that are bigger than that. He goes to the bar and spends $50 million. I mean, he doesn't care, right? And $4 billion for an exchange that has $18 trillion in trading volume, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, money is not an issue with these guys. Right. So, in 4-month sentence, doesn't really matter. So I think all this means that, in my opinion, my conspiracy theory is that Binance played ball with the DOJ to give them some people that may have been skirting taxes or money laundering. So they opened up the back end. They helped BlackRock and Larry Fink. They helped out Coinbase. They helped out all these people, and for that they had to do something, because or else they would look like, hey, what, we're collusion with them. And now we have a Bitcoin ETF, which BlackRock is killing. There's a lot of other people killing it. Coinbase's stock is at over $200 right now, when it was literally earlier this year at $30, or last year it was like at $30. I think it's just win-win for everybody, to be honest with you.
It's a lot to take in.
I told you, tinfoil hat.
I agree. I think it's very plausible scenario. What you said in the beginning, that Binance was really focusing on growth, and I'm just thinking what Binance will be in the future. All these dramas and news, and even then, users are still using Binance, and that's all Binance need. I mean, of course, eventually they need to have a license. That's unavoidable. So all the proof profit will not make sense if they are if they don't have license. But still, it's not really scaring people away from Binance. I mean, users.
Right.
So they must have a lot of power in that sense. But also at the same time, I picked the story in Daily Crypto News Korea about Binance France might not actually get a license, which actually was a kind of the only hope in their only hope in Europe, because Binance France, the sole stakeholder was CZ. And like, who wants to who wants to support a company that has this huge scandal and even like just have only one owner, right? So like, where is this company going? And I'm so um eager to find out the perfect recipe for running a crypto exchange in a way. And I can't stop that kind of comparing the footsteps of Binance and footsteps of Coinbase, and other countries as well. And like you said, Binance has been really aggressive on the growth, like all over the world. And look what that got them until now.
Yeah.
And Coinbase, on the other hand, rather focused on US and maybe one or two countries outside of US, but they just stick to US, right? Not that like either strategy is better, but it's a very, very interesting history of crypto industry.
So here's my comments on this. I have a couple comments. Number one is when it comes to Binance. Binance has a great
Right.
product. Binance.com is an excellent exchange. Anytime they had an issue, CZ, this, and I said this on Daily Crypto News, CZ, as much. Let me go back. I don't think that Binance was started because Binance and FTX and Crypto.com, and I'm keep using these same examples because Chris Marslick, who is Crypto.com, and SBF and CZ, they were all in Hong Kong at the same time,
Right.
hanging out with each other, and they all started their own exchanges, and they all started their own tokens, and they had this new idea of using their tokens as gas, if you
Mm.
will, for trading
Mhm.
fees and blah blah blah, and that sometimes they all did the same thing. So if we found out that FTX was using customer funds and using their tokens to get fiat to grow their businesses and pay for things and as leverages, and they were probably overexposed at one point, I promise you Binance was the same way, and I promise you Crypto.com was the same way.
Mm.
It was all the same business
Yeah.
model, and
Yeah.
they all knew it, and then that's how they were all tied in together. So they all started this whole business with under shady pretenses. The difference is SBF was a kid and he didn't really know what the fuck he was doing,
Yes.
and CZ was an adult that had business experience and had self discipline and knew what the fuck he was
Right.
doing, and Chris was the same thing, and so they were able to navigate the risk and navigate this everything going
Yep.
on and everything to grow their businesses, and SBF got his ass handed to him because he was just an idiot.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? He was just immature. He was a kid. He wanted to play. He wanted to whatever,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so let's just be honest with it. They all started at the same time, roughly, and with the same structure.
Mhm.
But Binance had a great product. In regardless of what CZ's done in the past, he was always a stand-up dude. Like if there was a issue with the exchange or hacking or vulnerabilities or whatever,
Yep.
or a token in the Seifu fund and all these different things, he was always front and center. He was always answering questions. He never shied away from it. He never pointed blame.
No.
He always said it was my problem and we will take care of it. And that is very respectable and very honorable, to be honest with you. And so they had a great exchange with low fees that was accessible to everybody, and he was upfront saying, "I'll take care of you."
Where is this
Fucking
going?
killed it.
Where is this going?
I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'm sorry.
Free CZ movement.
Everybody she just told me to shut the fuck up. All right, so wait, I'm getting there.
You suddenly start to shill CZ. What's going on? Where does this going?
Well, I'm trying to make balance
Okay.
because I shit on Binance and CZ a lot because in the podcast, but I also wanted to say that there are good things about them. It's a great product. So when you said like, where is Binance going to be going in the future? Binance created a great product, and we have to say that no, that's why people don't
Yeah.
care about like what's happening in the
Mhm.
background is because their product is superior to everybody
Yeah.
else's.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't matter if Tim Cook is an asshole. I'm still using iPhones because it's a great product.
Okay.
You know,
Matt, your sin is absorbed. But that's what I'm saying. Like Binance, like no matter what happens, like in the scandal, like conspiracy theory, I think it's actually more to the truth than conspiracy theory, right? You would also agree to that. And they are the Binance and Coinbase and BlackRock. They're in another world than the Web3 and all the
agreed,
like blockchain or whatever like
1000%.
meme coin that we're talking about. They're in the different world. They are in the adult world. There are probably more Web 2 now, and talking to all these big boys and traditional finance and stuff like that. So they're completely in another world. But even then, Binance, like CZ is going to this jail, and look at transaction volume. I doubt that there was any sort of hit on Binance. I'm still using Binance. I don't really think about, I don't really connect.
I wish I could use Binance.
I mean, I don't really connect CZ's scandal and Binance product anymore. Not because I don't
Right.
connect CZ and Binance, but just that is that much of a I guess habitual trust in this product than any other problem. Like, but DeFi, look at like CEO steps down and then the TVL goes like half or even like 1/3. It's ridiculous. So that already represents the strength of Binance. But obviously, I'm still worried because no matter what, eventually in the certain point of time in the future, every exchange has to have a license somewhere. And Binance does not have that right now. They don't have a place. They don't have a solid ground that they can root down, have people over and like confidently say that they are working. They don't have that. That is what is missing. So that could give a big impact on Binance in the future, I guess.
Which is kind of sad because remember this was supposed to be decentralization, Web3,
Right.
you know, this whole like empowerment, whatever. And now it's just like, hey, play a role, you know.
Yep.
I think that I don't know what Binance's long game is. I can't see, and maybe Binance is going to pivot really hard, you know, and be more of like the Coinbase structure, right? The Web 2 sort of thing, as you said. But I don't know what their long game is. I think they didn't know either. They're just like, hey, let's grow, and then everybody's just like, hey, we don't want you here anymore, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll pay some fines.
Yeah.
But we could totally see where Coinbase's long game here is it's they want to turn themselves into a crypto bank.
Yep.
And
they're doing
they want to
well.
be the only crypto bank.
Yeah, they're doing well.
They're
on the right track.
They're absolutely gonna kill it.
Yep.
They're and here's the thing: their product is. How would you rate have you used Coinbase? Nope. You never used Coinbase? I mean,
I've been to their website and tried to register and then just didn't do it. Too complicated. I think the KYC was like
the KYC is a bitch. Yeah. Which is but it's necessary. I understand for what they are. Yeah. Their product is
okay.
I don't know what this. It's expensive. You know what? It makes Here's the thing: is like Robinhood. You can buy stocks for cheaper than you can buy crypto on Coinbase.
Okay.
Coinbase is expensive. Coinbase is
anything good?
I don't know. The reason why here's the thing is like their product. I trust Coinbase because they've never been hacked as far as we know. And they're relatively secure and they're pretty transparent, if you will.
Right.
But it's not a good user experience. The UI kind of is clunky and cumbersome. It's not intuitive. It's expensive. It's expensive. It's very fucking expensive. Especially if you're not a pro trader, which they have this weird thing where you can buy crypto on the Easy platform, which charges you probably triple.
Oh man, smart.
And then you can use the Pro platform, which charges you about a third of what they do. And so it's like you just by being on the same platform, you could pay like $10 to buy Bitcoin, or $1 to buy Bitcoin, or $3 to buy. It's
Right,
ridiculous.
right.
Anyway, I don't know if I like their practices, and I don't know if I really like their product overall, but it's what we have here in the U.S. because everybody else is out for the most
Yep,
part.
yep. Anyways, that was a big news and have to be followed up for sure.
I know Matt was rambling. You told me to shut up.
I,
You're like, where are you going with this?
I didn't say anything. But anyways.
Oh, but you did. You did, Sarah.
Yeah, because
You
I was so
100% did.
confused. Like, okay, conspiracy theory, but now it's like CZ is a good guy. I mean, not that we have to not that we have to decide like he's a good guy or a bad guy. I was like, where is he going with this? But
What's the biggest news of today?
today,
We have the same news again.
It's about the Glassnode report about what's the heck is going on in the market right now. And when does this end? Like, what does it mean? Is it just a market correction, or bull market is over? Yes. And the report says that, I mean, obviously, like, people are still in a very happy status where we're getting unrealized profits and stuff. But it's time that is the time that markets start to correct. And some analysts in the Glassnode and FX Pro said something around, okay, like 50,000 would be the lowest point, but it could, of course, go down to $40,000, and it wouldn't be so strange. So buckle up is what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on your trading strategy, right? You must have sold. I mean, not you specifically, but like some of the people in the audience. Or if you're a long-term holders like me, then you wouldn't care so much. You will probably buying right now, or even waiting for the price to drop so that you can sweep.
Do you think the bull market is over?
Nope.
No.
I mean,
no.
I mean,
no.
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 You?
No. No.
We did not even start it. We did not even start anything yet, I feel.
I really don't think that we're going to be getting out of a bull market. To be honest with you, from this point on, I don't think that we're not going to be in a bull. Meaning that I truly believe that we're going to be up only. And this doesn't mean that we're going to have like these monster gains like 100% or 200% or 500%. I do think that we're going to have a normal Bitcoin cycle. And I think in a year from now we're going to be looking at, I think $100,000 is inevitable.
Yep.
I don't know if $200,000 is in the play, but I do think 150 to 180. I think 200. I think that I know that I always look at things as a little bit more safe than most people, and so it wouldn't surprise me if we hit 350. But the thing is that even though, I mean, we're talking about from the start until, let's just call it 2030. I think that we're going to start pricing in very consistent gains to people who buy Bitcoin. If you're buying $300,000 Bitcoin, well, good luck, but I really think that it's going to start looking like normal market cycles, where we can start anticipating something like a 10% year over year gain from Bitcoin. And that even though I'm saying up only, again, we're not just going to be shooting up to like $1 million, but we can say that, hey, at the end of this cycle, we're going to level out, and then we could predict that we're going to be having 10% year over year gains on Bitcoin, because I think there's going to be just a normal flow of capital coming into the market. You're going to start seeing people get allocating portions of their portfolio into Bitcoin, if it's 1% or 2% or 10% or something like that. And then once people are making money, when it comes to companies or investors or people like BlackRock or 401ks, that money is going to continue to move into those accounts, and that money is going to be continuing to move out into, say, Bitcoin as part of their portfolio. And so we're just going to see, I think, a more steady stream of up only from Bitcoin that we could predict and say, it's good to have our money there. It's just like the S&P 500. Yes, it goes down. Yes, you can, lose half of your investment in the S&P, but year over year, going all the way back, we're talking about, what is the average S&P? 8 to 12 year over year. So I just think that that's just going to be the case for Bitcoin anymore.
I this time I really significantly feel that there are new people coming in. I mean, I think you might also feel that way. I mean, you've been in crypto longer than I did, but it's marking around like 7 years for me. And it was, I used to hide my profession, the industry that I work in the beginning. Because it's also like, not because people will think that I'm a scammer or anything like that, but it's just so hard to explain. I would not even get into it, and I didn't want to get into a conflict. It's like, oh, Bitcoin is a scammer. It's like, why are you there? But now people come to me without even saying that what I do. People come to me and ask about this, like, randomly. And I'm already in the beginning, kind of looking at the mid 30s, and people in the 20s that just graduated their university and then just going into the job market, they're considering their job options in Web3. And they surely does not really think about stocks or like gold investment or whatever it is. And their
Right.
primary investment tool is crypto. And
Right.
they are more open to accept this kind of new vehicle, right? And I really see that big change coming, and then new people coming in and buying and trying out. And obviously the products that we we saw back in the days and now is just completely different. And each local markets, the education level of crypto industry is way different as well, like even compared to 5 years ago. So I think there are new money coming in constantly, which is a very, very good thing. So I would still suspect like maybe 100K this year and maybe 150. I wouldn't go that bold, but hope to see go up only.
You're right about that. I think that the ETF gave a lot more people confidence. I mean, there's always been the Bitcoin maximalists
Right.
or the crypto maximalists out there that were always proponents. I mean, considering that we've been working in the space for like you said 7 years, we've always been part of that,
Right.
right?
Right.
Of that being a proponent. But the Bitcoin ETF made it a lot
Mm.
easier to say like, hey, we're not crazy. Apparently, it's being traded on the stock market, so
Yep.
like you don't have to like this commodity, just like you don't trade wheat or oil, but you have and that's another thing
Mm.
is like a lot of people want to criticize Bitcoin because it's not, but they don't trade anything.
No, no,
It's like, so go buy yourself some oil, go buy yourself some wheat or something like,
no.
well, but you don't
Whatever you
trade
want.
anything. So why are you bitching about Bitcoin on the market?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
you don't even do
Yeah,
anything.
there are people with attitudes like that. It's like, why? Like, I don't see the point. It's like, if you don't see the point, then just don't. Don't see
Go
it.
buy it. Like go buy Apple stock. I don't give a shit. Like, but it has I guess made Bitcoin a little bit more
Yeah,
valid,
yeah,
like a little
agree.
more like, yeah. And so we could say like, hey, at least, they think it's a certain way, so that's why it's trading. There's an
Mm,
ETF, which is really good and makes it a lot easier. I personally came to a point where before here's a let me see if you feel the same way I
yeah,
do.
yeah. Shoot.
Before, let's just say 2017,
Mm.
2018, when you said Bitcoin, people thought you were the tinfoil hat person. They thought that you were the fringe. They thought that you had all of that,
Yeah, I'm
right?
in danger.
But and then well, and it makes you people think of you as, oh, you're that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
You're the Bitcoin person. Oh, let's go talk to her. She's fucking
yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
right? But now I think that has changed a little bit,
Totally.
and in two things, that not only has that changed, but also I don't care if people think of me that way that much, because um yeah, you're stupid.
I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, I totally agree. I don't care. I don't care much about it.
Very eloquent, Matt.
I mean, but I mean, that's true, right? We don't care so much about it. If you're interested, then you're interested. I don't try to convince anybody. If they are interested in learning something more, sure, I will give you some resources. But also, like, if you want to know, you would have tried. You don't need anybody, right?
Right,
So,
right. I also think that a lot of younger people, not only do they not see the traditional finances and stocks or like that is I think they think of it as a little old school, and this is a little
true,
newer,
true. Yeah, yeah.
but also I think it's just easier to understand.
Mm,
Um, with a lot more
Mm-hmm.
confidence because as much as like I think people when they invest in a company, like you invest in
Mm.
Apple, you're investing in Apple, but you're also investing in their products and it makes sense like, oh, they make iPhones, so therefore number goes
Yeah.
up. But but a lot of the practices these companies do doesn't have anything to do with their product,
Yeah.
right? And I think that we've come to a point where more and more companies are getting market cap not based off of their product or their
Mm-hmm.
efforts, but more so how they market and how they play the
Yeah.
system. And do you do stock buybacks? Do you have great marketing? Do you have a CEO like Elon Musk that goes out and says crazy shit to make people believe or not believe? And so more and more, I think that it has to do with, are you doing things that maybe you don't agree
Yep.
with, like
Yep. Yep.
companies that sell your data?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
are they like Facebook's whole business
Yeah.
model is selling your
Yeah.
data? So it's like it's very complex to hard to understand, and also it doesn't actually reflect in the thing I'm buying
Yeah.
anymore. And I think that buying Bitcoin directly coincides with a value set that you have,
Mm.
more so than different companies. So, what is Apple's value set? And you really don't know, right? What is Google's value set? You really don't know. They have a great browser, but they do sell my data, and they do stock in their stock buybacks, and that's how number goes up. And it's like very Bitcoin is just like, okay, I have Bitcoin, and I believe in. I don't have to believe in it because it's just there.
Okay, says Matthew Deemer, not Sarah's opinion, but
Okay,
but I
what's Sarah's opinion?
I agree partially in the sense that people people in crypto who invest in crypto definitely has a higher tendency to believe in the value that cryptocurrency represents. If you don't, then you can't. It's just it just doesn't work that way. You have to
Right.
you have to be aligned with the philosophy and the history and some side of the story in the financial market. Otherwise, there is no point on investing in crypto. I mean, maybe some investors just don't care about anything and only care about like tradings and stuff. Maybe they would like say, Bitcoin is hyped, okay, I'll buy it. Maybe, but if you are a little bit like us, then I think you would share the similar values.
Is that it for our weekend review?
Yes, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
We like you. We love you guys.